Now, the Western sword comes complete. I don't have Avalon yet, am I? But Excalibur, Avalon is part of Excalibur. But it is impressive, especially when a little girl, saber, holds it. Why? Because it's big, it's powerful. All the lines are crisp on it. It's a woman. Conveys, shut up. It conveys knighthood in a way, in the same way that the character conveys knighthood. In fact, in Fate Zero, the problem is the whole plot of Fate Zero revolves around the fact that all the... I'm not going to spoil anything. The entire... You can look at the plot as the interaction of the characters between each other rather than anything else. Right? In Fate Zero, the whole plot revolves around servants being summoned to masters with whom they're not compatible. People who watched it will say it's absolutely true. Right? Yeah. While in Staynet and Limited Blade Works, the master is actually compatible with their servants.
Some
more so than others.
Yeah. But in Fate Zero, none of them except one, the bad one, are compatible, right? Okay, so now that's the plot. So, and Excalibur conveys knighthood, the principles of Arthur made flash reality. At first the invisible, then when the, what do you call it, noble phantasm is brought out, you finally see the blade. Okay, now, but here's a comparison, a more historical sword that Matt now owns. I made it.
I didn't know that. Anybody want a sword?
She wants the gates of Babylon, so she wants to grab all the swords she doesn't get to. No,
very nice.
That. Now, I'm just not gonna. Can everybody hear me? I'd rather not.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'll help. It's cool. I'll help. I help.
Okay, it's a running joke, right? This is a historical sword, fairly small compared to fantasy swords. Why? Because small swords that are smaller are more effective for a person to use continuously, while big swords are more impressive. We have the exception of two-handed swords, and I'm not going to address that at the moment. Right? This sword is fairly sharp. Right? And it's done for cutting demos when we cut atomic mats at events. So will this one be, by the way, soon. Now, I'd rather not use the mic. I like walking, okay? I like walking because a lot of my work involves standing. Walking is pretty great. So this is a saber. Ha! Anybody get the joke? That's right. I made it funny. Do that. Yeah, so this is a saber. On horseback, it's a thrusting weapon. Actually, Tachi on horseback should, in principle, be thrusting weapons looking at their geometry. In principle. We don't actually have good records of martial arts of the Heian period. Now, katanas are primarily foot weapons. That's why they're shorter than Tachi and have less curve. On foot, sabers and any curved blade is a slashing weapon. Now, light. I can fight with it all day and not be tired. I need food, but I'm pretty good, well set. However, it doesn't really wow you. Ask the modern viewer who is used to megalithic structures, who used to Empire State buildings, absolute magnificent feats of engineering. No, it doesn't wow us. Those small things don't capture our imagination. That is why anime creators have swords like Rory Mercury's axe. Who watches Gate? Yeah, that's right. I love that series. Yeah, it's impressive. In one of the episodes, a mortal person tries to pick it up, can't, breaks his back. Right? That moment is hilarious. But that's what wows us. A little person who is a demigod picks up a giant thing, and it's all powerful, violates all laws of physics. Thor, right? Even though the hammer is fairly small in the movie, it weighs a lot. It's made from a star. Why? That wows us. Because you have a moment with the star itself, the center, the hearth of life. And that's where life came from. The exploding stars create most of the heavy elements. So, right? Everybody knows science? Yes. Great! Science is great.
We can science.
The star comes down to Earth where a demigod wields it for the purpose of justice, right? That's essentially Thor, the comic book in the movies, not the actual, Norse god. What else we have? Berserk, a giant sword, the 100-man slayer. We couldn't bring it, I'm sorry, it didn't fit in any of our cars, but yeah, that giant sword slays 100 men, or his dragon slayer sword that can kill dragons and is this wide, this big, completely unusable by an actual person, but our fantasy is designed to violate the laws of physics. The reason is, when a fantasy violates the laws of physics, our reason tries to make the two compatible. And that is the birthplace of science and engineering. How do you not violate the laws of physics, but trick them into doing something you want? Space travel, that kind of stuff, right? The laws of physics say that you can't breathe underwater because you require oxygen. There's not enough oxygen there. Well, your reason helps you. It brings the oxygen underwater. Same thing happens with
Aquaman can.
What we do.
Aquaman has good powers.
Yeah. Well, who thinks Aquaman is the most popular and the awesomest superhero?
No.
Exactly. I got you there.
He's kind of trying.
He doesn't, but he doesn't have a sword.
All right. I got you there.
You wait.
Summon Flipper. Go on. Done. Anyway, and that's kind of what we do. We're not great scientists, we're not great engineers, but we do a little bit of engineering. We have to know a little bit of science, how to make some of the weapons that are not manageable by a living human being come to life, even if for a brief moment, even if for like 10 minutes on YouTube that you see us do the demo, and then once in a while we bring them to convention. We have to come up with new ways of impressing the viewer how we actually made the weapon. After all, this can easily be plasma cut. Right? You've seen us plasma cut stuff. Yeah, that's those kind of boring, and that's the decision process. While plasma cutting is boring, I love the series. I'd rather do something really cool. Got a bunch of medieval arrowheads, spearheads, and katana tips, and remelted them, making my own steel to make the blade. Right? That's better. And that's an actual process, because what happens is you heat up iron, and medieval weapons are usually iron when it's like disposable arrowheads and so on and so forth. You heat them up, they start melting slowly, and as they pass down the charcoal, which is carbon, they pick up some of the carbon, and once they go past the T-air, where the air comes in, they settle. They leave the hot area and settle at the bottom of the forge, and you have steel. That steel is not very clean, so then comes the blacksmith, purifying the steel, removing all the crap out of it, and it is crap from the forge, old stuff, and making decent steel. The problem we found out, and actually I should have been more careful in reading the textbooks on it, there are actual textbooks, kind of, for that stuff, is that pure steel with barely any elements, like modern alloys do, is only water quenchable, right? You can only quench it in water. It's very hard to do it in oil. It doesn't get hard enough. Right? That's why Japanese smiths quench only in water. It's just the nature of the beast.
And why do we usually not quench in water on man-at-arms?
We don't quench in water on man-at-arms because there's a tendency to crack. The best Japanese sword makers have, I think, 1 in 4 failure rate right now.
Yeah, we can't fail. If we fail, we lose an episode. And we lose an episode, we lose maybe our contract, and then you guys lose man-at-arms. So we try to lower the risk as much as possible, and the heat treat is definitely the highest risk point in sword making, period.
That's right. That's why Kill Bill Katana, people watched that episode, we quenched it in oil. Because if it breaks, all the time I spent before the film crew comes, gone. Gone, gone, gone. All the time on camera forging spent, gone. Right? We don't have a product. So yeah, we do make compromises. Other compromises we make is, let's say, size. If it is simply unsafe for us to make something, we make the size smaller. Now that our big power hammer is running, we can make bigger stuff.
We made Diana bigger.
Yeah, we made Diana bigger back. So actually, you know what happened with that? He kept saying, no, make it as big as you can. All right? I can make as big as I can make something as big as I can, by definition, right? even if it's this big. But no, we made it bigger. What happened? Yeah, we did the Elder Scrolls axe too big.
Not necessarily. People say we did that too big because we made basically a battle axe out of something that should have been a one-handed axe. Well, look at the guy who wields that in that game. He's not my size. He's definitely not his size. He's like him on my shoulder size. So I mean, you know, there's some give and take there. There's been some requests for us to make the Voltron sword, which I want to do. I want to do as many 80s old school builds as possible. Well, we obviously can't make the Voltron sword for giant Gundam to freaking use. You know what I mean? So we'll have to make it man size. We'll still make it stupid big.
Now that I've covered the part of the YouTube community who think the katana is the best thing ever, or the gianter the sword, the more real it is, I purposefully used the wrong English, gianter. I actually know English, I studied it for a while. So I'm going to cover the opposite phenomenon. People who tend to have never made anything in their life saying that something will kill you because they have some sort of a misunderstanding of how things actually are. That is, you know how we make fantasy real? Fantasy was already real before we were born. And I'm talking about armor. Right, I'm in armor, I want to give a little bit of armor talk because actually it helps cosplayers in a way. Thinking about it. There's the Ilya, the man-at-arms panel thing. They have been malicious rumors spread around that my fiance Kim Kardashian is a hobbit. That is not funny, and it is not true. In all seriousness, has anybody read the article on boob armor? Anyway, it's a very popular article spread around saying that boob armor will kill you. That is absolutely wrong. Let me see the panel. Here is. And the conversation goes the following way. Don't let anybody tell, because I'm in armor. Those articles are usually written by people who never made a suit of armor in their life. The issue is, the conversation goes the following way. Well, this is made to make women appear more sexy. Well, yes, it's fantasy. However, in the time where male eroticism was valued more than female, men would dress like that. And I'm talking about the Greeks, the guys who invented Western civilization as we know it. Here's an example of, I think this is in the Metropolitan. Is it up? How do I move it over? I have no concept of how this works. Yes. Yes. Right? This chest makes Arnold Schwarzenegger inspired in his late years. Right? This was actually used by the Greeks. Right? The conversation goes the following: all right, that's fine, but this will kill you if you're using a spear. Well, no, because the Greeks primarily used spears in battle. That's the problem. So the boob armor, applies. Oh, okay, well, why would someone accent something that is not an essential part of the armor? Well, for the same reason as this little gem exists. Oh, I'm going to open it up, and I'll try it. I'll move it. How do I move it up? There you go. Like a beer. I actually had this conversation with someone who's not an armor.
He has a 2G phone.
Okay. Like, why would someone accent something like a beard on their helmet? That's unessential. I had the conversation, then I sent that link to the person. Why? See, armor and weapons have always been designed to impress both your people around you, because you're supposed to communicate how much richer you are than your fellow knight or fellow hoplite. You're also supposed to communicate how impressive and strong and virile you are to the enemy, because you're supposed to dominate the enemy even before you start. Right?
Yeah.
True. Actually, if you look at medieval knights in the jousting period, they competed with each other with how much money they would spend on their armor. It was just like Mean Girls. I'm not joking, it was exactly like Mean Girls. Here is some armor that I'm making for a customer of mine. He's a jouster, Vincent Anthony. Sorry, Vincent, that you haven't gotten this yet. There's other stuff coming to it, right? This is, when it's completed, going to be the nicest suit in his jousting troop. Why? Because he paid me to have the nicest suit in his troop. That actually was part of our contract. I told him, you give me the money and I will make armor that is nicer than this guy's armor, and that guy's armor, and that guy's armor. And guess what he said?
Okay.
All right! Right? Well, essentially that's what creators of fantasy armor do. And this is very close to what you would see in a video game, right? With all the extra stuff, all the aesthetic. Remember, this would be polished. It would look like gold. Yep. An army, an entire battalion dressed like that, coming down the slopes of a mountain attacking you, with the rays of sun reflecting off of their golden armor, will look like an army of gods. And remember, we will then in the world where everybody believed in multiple gods, demigods, heroes walking around the earth, committing feats. Great.
Whole army coming.
Whole army.
Also your flies down.
Oh, I'm sorry. See that? I spotted the one who looks the wrong. I know. Terribly embarrassing. Now, this doesn't stop in the. What? We have time. This doesn't stop in the Greek period. Oh, there it is. And it's not limited to Europe. Here's the helmet that was given as a gift to King Henry by Prince Maximilian. The hilarious part of this is, this helmet is actually a caricature of Emperor Maximilian, that Emperor Maximilian commissioned and sent to King Henry. So King Henry wore a trolling piece of armor, making fun of Maximilian's bad eyesight, hook nose, and a stubble. If you look at, you Google it, stubble, missing teeth and all that stuff. That is trolling. Trolling each other all the time. All that stuff, what do we do with trolling nowadays? Such a big problem. Not a big problem, in that it was always a problem. And people made fun of it. This is equivalent to a Bentley these days. Just this one piece is the price of a Bentley. And I have more. It's not only beards and noses and horns that would be already fantasized about and exaggerated. The actual armor that existed, it would be cod pieces. People who know cod pieces know what I'm talking about. This is not an 18 and up panel. There's a hint. Now, and this is essentially the tradition within which we are trying to perform. Outdo other sword makers in doing ridiculous things. Even for the demos, we kind of try, but sometimes it doesn't work. Making ridiculous weapons, weapons that impress you. That's why the channel is called Army. Right? So, now I'm going
Oh, no, you didn't! All right. No. We need to take a pause just for a second. If we're going to go there, we're going to start chanting man in arms, okay? We're going to do this. Everybody? Like man in arms. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Man at arms! 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 Didn't work, but I enjoyed that. All right, carry on. I got to say something on the mic.
Okay. Now, last example of the pictures I have prepared, and to show that all that exaggerated fantasy stuff is not only product of the Western tradition. He is a, where is it? Where's my mic? Found it. Don't worry, I'm good. I'm figuring it out slowly. A mempo mask. I think it's 15th century at least. Like, that's how I categorize it as. But yes, that's a Tengu mempo mask. Tengu are the demons who lived on a holy mountain and were great fighters. So the person wearing it is essentially becoming the Tengu for their opponent. Yes, there's no practical use for a nose that big, absolutely none. But armor and weapons, an arms race in psychological warfare as much as actual warfare.